Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. The world's two largest economies, U.S. and China, just wrapped 2 tense days of trade talks in Stockholm. And while negotiations left without a deal, they didn't walk away empty-handed, with major decisions still looming over tariffs, rare earth exports, and tech ownership. What happens next could impact everything from smartphones to global energy flows. Now, to walk us through the implications of negotiations, we're joined now by Dr. Stankomir Nicieja, Associate Professor at the University of Opole. Good to have you on TVP World again.
Good morning, and good morning to every viewer.
So let's begin with the tone here. I mean, both sides called these whole meetings constructive, candid. So what is the subtlety here? And I mean, what can we expect next out of this? I mean, there's that tariff looming deadline still approaching.
There is very vague and very diplomatic language surrounding those meetings, and they turned out to bring very, very predictable results. I think that this was the kind of speculation that most often came up and basically was confirmed. There will be an extension on the deadlines for the imposition of the tariffs. Of course, the final decision is up to Donald Trump, but we do not expect here any change. And the final agreement is being prepared for the big meeting later this year, probably in November, between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump, and it will be there when the final deal will be announced. So, very, very predictable outcome from those talks, as with the previous talks that involved China, because not so long ago we had a summit in Beijing where Ursula von der Leyen discussed the matters of the relations. We had a EU-American deal with tariffs, and here we have the situation in Stockholm ending more or less as most of the analysts predicted.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying there's an air of predictability in all this, but at the same time, can't help but wondering, and also business help wondering, does this now settle this ongoing dispute between these two massive economic powers?
Oh, settled? No, not to say settled. It's like more to stabilize, not to introduce any tensions or any unpredictable elements that would rock the financial markets, that would be very detrimental for the President Trump and his prospects. So, in a sense, in the negotiations, though that difficult, in an environment that's so complex, you cannot expect to have deals reached within even a couple of months. So it is just a predictable continuation, and but doesn't suggest that the positions are for both sides easy, because both the United States and China, they have their strengths, they had their cards that let them to have much more maneuver, to have much more breathing space. And for example, in deals that we could see earlier with Japan or with the European Union, their situation for the United States was much easier, because there were other factors that made American position much more compelling.
Mm-hmm. I'm also curious about rare earths. I mean, this remains a contentious issue, hugely important for American industry. Well, very much about everything from smartphones, chips, you name it. How much do you sense that there will be reasonable access to this? Are the Chinese going to allow the Americans some sort of amicable deal here? What's your take on that?
They will allow, because after all, the control over the rare earth is only worth if they can sell it, if they can turn it into revenue. And of course, the biggest market for those rare earths and magnets are the industries of the European Union, of the United States. So this is a strong position. This is one of the most important assets that they have. And they will play it, I think, quite skillfully, and that's why those negotiations will need to have several other rounds before the final decision is reached. That's the kind of expectation we can make today.
All right. I also want to ask a little bit about technology. I mean, TikTok, that was not on the official agenda, but certainly that was probably discussed. And just not some days ago, the Commerce Secretary, Mr. Lutnick, says TikTok will go dark if China won't agree to its control. What's the latest on this? I mean, are we seeing now the Chinese listening to the Americans? What's your take on what's happening there?
On the one hand, Americans finally decided what to do with TikTok, but then the final decision will be on Xi Jinping. There is very little. We have very little information traditionally until there will be a formal announcement. But I think this is a less contentious issue in those negotiations that it used to be in past months. So probably here a much more reasonable and agreeable position will be reached soon, and TikTok will change its owners, and the problems with TikTok will disappear from the horizon.
And also you hinted at this whole idea of a summit between Xi Jinping and Donald Trump. I mean, that was sort of touted towards the end of the year. Would you say that there are any sort of preconditions attached to this actually happening? How realistic is this moving forward?
Certainly, Donald Trump is pushing very hard to have that summit, to turn it into a typical and predictable publicity stunt. So there is this kind of desire, but this summit cannot take place before everything crucial is finalized. So that's the kind of condition. This meeting will be a summary, or there will be a conclusion. Nothing can be discussed. Certainly the Chinese side would not allow, because in the case of other leaders, like you could see Keir Starmer dealing with Donald Trump, for Ursula von der Leyen, or the other partners, they have much more leeway. They have a kind of different attitude, because they expect to reach a deal during a meeting. That this is not something that the Chinese side would do. Xi Jinping will only be willing to meet Donald Trump, and everything that was before discussed, every contentious issue is solved. So it provides this kind of pressure on the American side to finalize the deals, to finalize the talk before the end of the year. On the other hand, the tariffs that Donald Trump imposed, these are of his own making. This is the kind of problem, the kind of challenge that he himself created, and can easily de-escalate or extend it. So it doesn't have this deadline doesn't have such a crucial role, because it can easily be the date of the summit may be postponed, moved to for the beginning of the next year. So that's the situation. But of course, Donald Trump has some other problems inside the United States, in international politics. So that would be a undoubtable boost to his position if he could secure a deal with China, have this fantastic opportunity to be successful in closing down that important, very consequential relationship and tensions.
There's still so many layers to all this, but I just want to get, as before we close, just give us one sentence of your takeaway now of this summit. What's happened next? One sentence, real short at the end.
We will have to wait for another round. I predict that within a month we will have another round of negotiations preparing for the summit, and extension of the tariffs to stabilize the situation.
All right, so we do, and we might have hope on the horizon for these major economies. That's obviously going to impact all of us across the world. Look, thank you so much. Always a pleasure speaking to you there, Dr. Stankomir Nicieja. Appreciate all of that.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
And thanking you for watching. This concludes World Talks on TVP World, but stay tuned. The news is coming up with Kali Czerwinska right here. Bye-bye.